seen a little bit of San Francisco. I'm so excited to be here. This is great. Have you guys been having a good morning with everyone? Yeah. This is my first Once Upon a Time Creations convention, so I'm very excited. So you'll have to help break me in because I'm a newbie. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, giving you a little bit of Marian's.
I'm Marian. How are you? My question is, when did you find out that you were Zelena instead of Marian? How did you react, and did you talk about it with Bags or Sean or Lana? What was your reaction?
Well, I was pretty shocked.
We all were.
Yes, it was great, right?
No.
One thing I love about Once Upon a Time are the surprises. But Adam and Eddie and the writing team, they're all very good at keeping it surprises, not only from the fans, but also from the cast. And there were multiple times that I was one of the last to know, and that was definitely one of them. I believe that Sean, and I think possibly Rebecca, had an idea what was going to happen before I did. And I had found out, I think it was a couple weeks prior, I got a call from my agent, and I thought the show was done, and you know, I gotta go find more work, I'm not doing anything. And then they said, for me, not for everyone, but, and then they called and they said, oh, actually, you're coming back, and there's a big twist, but we can't tell you about it. And it was, I think, 2 or 3 days before we went to filming that I got the script. And so, yeah, so I knew I was coming back, and I was excited, and I was going, these are going to be the best scripts, and I'm so excited to come back, and I can't wait to see everyone, but I had no idea what for. I mean, they could have put me in the back of the field, and I would have been happy to be there. So yeah, I was one of the last to know, and just a couple days before, found out, squealed. I had only met Rebecca actually once before that, so I was very, very excited to play her.
Okay, so I have another question.
Yeah?
I have another question for my friend Kate. She was wondering, what are you doing in your free time, and what are you watching?
What am I doing in my free time, and what am I watching? Ooh. Well, in my free time right now, I'm actually taking a break because over Christmas I became a mom. Yeah! So for those of you that do follow me, I actually have been completely inactive because I spent, John Diggle, yeah, oh sorry, second time around mom. Exactly. He's like off at college, that kid now, right? Yeah, so I just spend my days rolling around on the floor, and when he does go to bed at night, I really like the show Ozark. Has anyone seen the show Ozark? Yeah, I just power watch that. I really want to get into Handmaid's Tale. That's next on my list. Is anyone watching that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So want to read the book.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, Ozark is my last binge. A little bit of Bachelor and Bachelorette. I have some guilty pleasures that I'm trying to kick because they're so long. But yeah, I'd say those are my most recent 3.
See, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
How was your experience with the cast members, and who's your favorite character in the show?
Oh, it's so tough because they're all so good. My experience on the show was fantastic, to be honest. I don't think I've done any other shows. I think it was the first show I'd ever done where it already had such a huge fan following before I became a part of it. So many people loved the show, loved the characters, and so I felt a big responsibility to, you know, do great work, but I was also really excited to join something that people will be excited to see. And when I first came to set, the actor actually that played Robin Hood when I first came on the show, he ended up leaving to take another show. So I didn't meet Sean or Rebecca, or it was really just me and this one actor in the woods all day, and I didn't meet anyone else. And then later on, when they brought Marian back, the first person I worked with was Jennifer Morrison, who, I mean, what a way to come back, right? I remember I was just sitting in the cave in the dark and I was just watching her going, she's awesome. so she was great, and then since the show too, not only Sean, but Rebecca and I have become fast friends, and she, I mean, I think, is anyone sticking around to see her on Sunday?
Yeah.
Rebecca's hilarious. I mean, she's the funniest person I know, hands down. So the cast is just not only talented and smart and funny, but kind and very, very hardworking.
I have one more question. How was it to play Marian?
It was the best. I would say the first thing that I was extremely excited about was the cave. So getting the script took a while. Sometimes I would get the outfits before the script. And I remember going to a fitting and, because I wore a lot of kind of rags, like kind of worn in things because I was a prisoner and no one knew who I was for quite some time. But I had this amazing red cape. And I would just, I mean, everyone remembers being a kid and putting a towel around your back and running around. It was kind of like my superhero towel, and I would spread around set, well, not in front of people, like privately in my trailer. When people weren't looking, they probably were. And I'd just spread around with my big cool cape and let it flow around and get all dirty, and that was the best. And then Marian herself, the thing I loved about Marian was that she was a fox. You know, there were obviously different stories where she was a female woman, but the story I remember growing up was the Disney cartoon. Right. And I loved how light and fun and free that was, and she had the mother hen that was watching over her. That was the version that I was in love with. And so I was really excited to take a new spin on Marian and really kind of dive into who she was going to be in the Once Upon a Time world. Because Adam and Eddie and the way that Once Upon a Time does these stories too, it's never going to be the way you remember it, right? It's always completely different. I mean, Peter Pan's evil and the Wicked Witch is, actually, I kind of really like her, so yeah, Marian is fantastic. Thank you.
Hi, how are you? My name's Gabby.
Hi, Gabby.
I'm a big fan of the show Unreal, and I wanted to know your experience on that.
Unreal was very, very cool. Has anyone else seen Unreal? Yeah, there's a couple people. And what, is going into season 4 now?
I think it was renewed for 2 seasons like that.
There you go. And so that just goes to show, I remember when I first got the script for Unreal, I had been a long fan of the Bachelor and Bachelorette franchise. And so, to me though, that wasn't, like I knew it was fake, but I was like, I'm following this, I'm pretending it's real, like people are really falling in love. And I got this script, and for those of you that don't know, Unreal it's a TV series, and it goes behind reality TV shows, and it shows you what really goes on behind the scenes. Producers who are getting people to do things that maybe they don't want to do, and drinks flowing, and fights, and so I read it like, I guess most of the viewers watch it, and I went, oh, is this really what happens? And then once I found out I'd be a part of it, it was, actually everyone was a lot kinder, everyone had a lot of fun. No one knew what the show was going to be. Everyone kind of was going on this journey thinking this might be a fun thing that lasts 1 year, and then no one really sees it, but I'm very grateful that it has continued to go on, because the team that they do have working on it are some of the hardest working actors I've ever seen, as well. I mean, Once Upon a Time too. I've been really lucky to be a part of some good shows. But everyone comes to set to play and to work and to have fun.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I was wondering how much time you got to spend with that absolutely adorable little boy who played Holman.
Oh, Raphael.
Yeah.
I've had multiple kids. What am I'm forgetting. How much time did I get to spend with him?
Yeah, offset, were you able to like hang out? Like, I just wanted, whenever I see him, I just want to see him.
He is the most feasible kid ever. He is so cute. He speaks multiple languages. He is whip smart. Every time we would work together, he would teach me things. Like he taught me Lego. I didn't know means play well or play good. But he knows everything. If you need to know something, if you need to pass a test, just tweet Raphael and see what's the answer. But we didn't get to spend a lot of time offset, only because he is so young and he has school to do in between filming. But when we were on set, we would get to play and run around, and I'm not sure if people have seen some of the photos of Sean kind of tossing him around, or some of the cast, like you said, just squeezing like all the juice out of him because he's so squeezable. Yeah, I wish we had more time. And then he's a cool kid. I mean, he's working and doing school, and he's got friends, and he's got way more going on. I think I'd be lucky if he'd like call me to hang out after. Yeah, it's like me begging for him to hang with me, not the other way around. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I know this question was already kind of asked. How did you react when you found out that Marian was actually dead and not like locked up somewhere?
When she was actually just like in back in the. I mean, everyone's seen it, right? I'm not ruining it for anyone.
Had like a shapeshifted or something into.
Yeah, it was kind of. I mean, I was confused, but then I was going, oh, wait a minute, and I felt sad for her because I kind of thought she was this living person. So at first, I think I mourned the fact that she was no longer, but the fact that I got to, even for the briefest second,
Play Zelena.
Yeah. To play Zelena and to imitate Rebecca Meader, like, I mean, if you're gonna die and have to be someone else, like, is that really the worst way to go? Yeah, so, yeah, it was sad to know that I mean, and she was kind of ill for a lot of it too. I mean, she was always laying on the couch, she was blue, she was frozen a lot. I think she needed to eat a few more vegetables. Yeah, she was, but I was sad to know she wasn't actually alive, but so excited that she was Lena.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
And my question is a hypothetical question. To say if you found out your character wasn't dead and you walked in on what Zelena was doing with Robin, how would your character react?
She would not have any hair anymore. I would have pulled that weave right out. That would be awful. Like, it's hard to even think of that right now without almost wanting to cry a little. I mean, I hope it was enjoyable, consensual.
Yeah, it wasn't consensual.
That's tough to think about. I walked in on that scene. No, that's tough. Yeah. I think it would be. I think it would go. I think I would win, though. Like Rebecca's, she's strong. She's tough. I mean, we worked out together. That girl has biceps. She could take down if she needed to, but I don't know. You guys can ask for Sunday. You can just say, Christy thinks she would have won. And I'll be at home.
Hi, my name is Estrella. Star.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I have two simple questions, right? How is work to Lana Parrilla and how is work to Constance Zimmer?
Two tough cookies. Super nice cookies, but tough cookies. Lana, one of the things that I loved is, I believe the first scene that Lana and I had together was in Brandy's Diner. And I was really looking, I mean, and when I'm saying scenes where it was me and her really getting to connect and work off one another. And I remember that day I was prepared and I knew I was going into, and I, seen in small talks with Lana, but to work with her and to look into her eyes and kind of, acting sometimes becomes this game of tennis where you're just kind of bouncing off one another. She is one of the strongest actors, Constance as well, but that I've definitely ever worked with. She has so many different levels. As you guys can see, I need to play someone that's so evil for so long, but then the fan following just loves her, and she's done horrible things. She's murdered people and wiped out entire families and villages, and everyone's like, yay, do it again! And that only comes, I think, from a really talented actress, because that just shows the humanity of the character, not just going out there and being like, she's evil and that's all she is. She's a beautiful person on set and off. But yeah, working with her, it was pretty powerful. I was impressed. I loved it. It went by so quick because she is so professional and so good at what she does that they don't need many takes. And with Constance, she's really funny. So Constance Zimmerman, she also is on Entourage. What's her name?
Queen.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Queen
if you've
Queen.
seen Entourage here. She plays the kind of really tough female head executive of the network.
Female power.
Woman power. Yeah, I won't do I won't say the thing that's on the wrist.
She have a trademark, but
yeah,
kids here.
Yeah, Constance was phenomenal too. She was really funny and playful and had a good time on set. You would be like, oh, this is my best gal pal, we're having a great day. And then you would go to say action and you were scared. You were like hiding behind something because she really empowers this strong, tough female that's not going to take anything from anyone. And then they call cut and then she's goofing around and playing with you again. So they're both just real people, like real great, talented women. Like you said, strong, and that's why I think everyone loves them so much, right?
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello. Hi.
So Elizabeth Mitchell played with you in the episodes with Once Upon a Time. Did you get to know her? I mean, she seems like a pretty nice lady and everything, and I've seen her in Lost. And have you, I guess this is a two-part question. Have you played in other programs, other shows with a lot of the other actors or any of the other actors that you've done work with from Once?
Ooh, from Once Upon a Time. Ooh.
Just kind of curious.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I'm trying to think, have I worked with anyone on other projects? I don't know that I have, just because so many of the actors on Once Upon a Time really have been on Once Upon a Time for so long that they haven't really gone to other projects that I've been on. Elizabeth Mitchell, though, she was so much fun. I hadn't seen Lost at all, but she is so sweet and so kind and soft, and she's one of those actresses that she kind of feels like your mom and your best friend all at once. And even when she's serving me the poisonous ice cream, I will eat it. Yes, please poison me. Yeah, she's lovely. I would love to work with her or anyone really on Once Upon a Time. I mean, everyone's fantastic. I'm trying to think because you kind of stumped me to think if I've worked with anyone, they're going to be like, we worked on this and you didn't remember. I don't think we have, but yeah, Elizabeth Mitchell is fantastic. Rebecca Mader and I, I guess we on the phone pretend, but not on TV or movies yet. No, I'd love to.
Okay, it was just because you have a lot of in-depth things with them and stuff, so it was interesting to know. Okay.
A lot of the, so on Once Upon a Time, for example, a lot of our time on set is downtime. So the scenes themselves, I mean, there's such a big and large cast. And the time that we come from, some of the hair and makeup is extremely elaborate, number one. So people will be called in a lot sooner than the time that they actually go on to do their scene. And that's kind of a really interesting time because that's when everyone gets to interact with one another and hang out and chat, whether it be in the lineup to get food or when you're getting your hair and makeup done next to each other. And when you have a set like Once Upon a Time where everyone is just really kind and lovely and open and nice, you just naturally strike up conversations with one another. And I think because everyone is so cool, real friendships are formed. And so even if it becomes a little Twitter chat or, hey, I just met a couple of guys and said, oh, we'll meet at the con, and you've never even done an episode together, but it's easy to become fast friends.
How did you like Steveston?
Oh, Steveston's beautiful. Has anyone gone out to Steveston? Yeah? Oh, wow. Oh, a lot of people. That's cool. Steveston, actually, my mom was born in Steveston. Yeah, so I didn't really spend too much time there as a child. I wasn't born there, but it kind of held a special place in my heart. I love my mom. And it's a beautiful fishing community just outside of the city of Vancouver, if you haven't been there. And they've taken this really great street, and like you've seen, they've transformed it into Storybrooke. And yeah, and people now, they all kind of come to that area, and also to people who live in the area just go and walk and take pictures and grab ice cream. It's kind of a magical little area.
Just a few questions.
questions. So, what would you say your favorite scene to shoot was, and what was probably the hardest one for you?
Oh, I'm gonna start with hardest, because I remember that one very well. Hardest and luckiest. I think I've only ever had one day that I was sick on set in my entire life, or I was sick before I was supposed to film, and that was before a day of filming Arrow. I'm not sure if anyone here is an Arrow fan. So I was super sick before, and actually one of the other actors had become sick, and so they canceled the day of shooting. And I was a little fish. I wasn't a big fish, and so I would have gone and I would have toughed through, but I couldn't shut down filming for sure. And then Once Upon a Time was another one. Me, little fish, big show. I'm going to work. I don't care how sick I am, but you don't want to get other people sick. And it was one of the days that I was frozen. And I was lying on the couch all day with the flu, shivering, but no one could tell because my makeup was blue and I was sweating, and they're like, that looks great, you're doing great sick acting. Like, I mean, so ill that when they, so after I believe we shot those scenes, they brought me into a separate part of the studio, and they had this machine that they got me to stand on, and they had, you kind of rotated on it, like a, what are those called? Lazy Susans in the middle of your table for dinner. And so they just kind of rotate you around, and you're supposed to stay really, really still. And they scan your entire body, and it was so that they could do the CGI stuff for all the Frozen. And when I was on it, I kept having to ask them to take breaks because I was about to pass out on the machine and just fall over and faint. So, hardest day, but luckiest day, because I didn't have to talk or do much. And then, was it best? The other question was the best day or the?
Like your favorite shooting day?
Favorite shooting day? Definitely. It was so teeny, but when I got to kind of play Zelina or Rebecca, I really loved what she did with the Wicked Witch, and she was so different than Marian, and she had so much excitement in her tone and her voice and what she got to do and what she got to play with. And not only so, the scene where I walk into the hospital and it's opposite Robert Carlyle, which was like, okay, that's cool to begin with. When I got to go in there and kind of say my little blurb as her, that was one of the most thrilling moments. It was something where I felt like, yes, I was still Marian, but I was getting to do something completely different. And with Robert Carlyle lying in bed. And then that's the day I also got to meet Rebecca and hang out with her all day. It was like just me and her in a hallway, and if she didn't want to become my friend, I was going to make her my friend, whether she liked it or not. Luckily it worked out for me, and I got to be her friend. So yeah, that was fun. You're welcome.
What was your favorite episode and why?
Ooh, episode that I was in or episode of all time?
Episode of all time.
Ooh. I would say it's kind of like an entire, what would you call it, like a portion, because I had said for a long time one of my favorite Disney movies was Jasmine and Aladdin, that romance story and the magic carpets. And I remember every time people would say, because when I was on Once Upon a Time, they hadn't done Aladdin. And so people would ask, they said, well, what's the next movie that you want to see, or what do you want to see out there next? And that was always the one that I really wanted to see. So when I heard that they were going to do all Akbar and the genie and all that, that was super cool. And then also too, because I was no longer on the show, I kind of really appreciated being able to sit back and watch it as a fan. And be able to just, you know, and I don't know if you know this, but we sit there even when we're not on the show, and we watch your tweets, and we see what you're tweeting people and what they're tweeting you back, and how people are reacting to it, because you just, if you're a part of the show or if you're watching it, you just fall so in love with it. Thank you.
Hi. Did Rebecca give you any tips
On, what was that?
Zelina, Rebecca, did she give you any tips on playing?
She didn't. Yeah. No. So because, and not that she wouldn't have, she is the most generous person ever, and she definitely, if I called her and said, I don't know what to do, she would help me out. But when I found out that I was going to be Zelina, she had already known, but we didn't really know one another at that time. We had just met, gosh, I think it was about 2 weeks before we went to film that we had met outside of set. I don't even think we hadn't even met on set. And so I imagine she would have read the script around the time that we were meeting. I didn't get it until a couple of days before we went to shoot. And yeah, our relationship, we just didn't know each other then. And I didn't have a phone number, so I would have had to go through Twitter and everyone would have seen, Christie's reaching out to Rebecca to ask for stuff, and then I would have definitely been in trouble. Being like, I'm gonna play Zelina, how do I do this? But yeah, no, she didn't give me tips, but she's a fun one to play. Have you ever tried to play her? No? It's fun, you should try. You're very welcome. Yeah, no, Zelina was a really fun character to get to impersonate. I think the only other character I would have ever wanted to impersonate maybe is Diggle. Just for the muscles. Yeah, just to like strut around and be like, I'm gonna take care of that. No. So the cave, I mean, the cave now is sick. Like, the cave now is next level. I mean, when I started Arrow, it was the same thing. It was a new show. We really didn't know. We knew it was a comic book show, so we hoped it was going to be big, and we thought it was. But I was kind of strapped to the diner. I'm in diners a lot, to be honest. Yeah. I was always serving up the burgers, and I didn't get to go into that. I wanted to go into that layer so badly, but it was small. It was still kind of new at the time I was doing the show. And now, because don't they have like the Legends of Tomorrow? Like they have like 4 different shows in the lair, and yeah. Do they have other tech people too? Felicity? Oh, see, yeah. I mean, the team has grown. Like, they've expanded. I feel like they've all grown up a lot.
They've all been blown up.
Oh, blown up. Aw, see, this is what happens. You become a mom, and you don't have time for TV, and you don't know what's going on in all the universes. But they're okay, right? Oh. When does that happen? Next summer? Next year? I don't know. It's so frustrating, isn't it? When you start watching a show and then you have to wait like a whole, I mean, oh my gosh, I forgot my show, Game of Thrones. Like, how am I forgetting that show? Like, it feels like to wait from one Sunday to the next Sunday for an episode, you're just sitting there. And then I thought about holding off. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna hold off on watching it, and then I'll have 3 in a row to watch. I made it to Tuesday. I was like trying to avoid all social media, trying to not talk to friends, which I don't do anyway because I'm just at home all the time. But yeah, it's tough. And then they make you wait a whole season or 3 years, or with movies too, like the big trilogies, when you have to wait like 3 or 4 years to see it. It's like, and then you have to rewatch everything to get caught up again. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, and Once Upon a Time is the same way, right? Like, it's a big break. And then there's the holiday break, and you have like, look at Once Upon a Time crossover web. What do you think? What's that? Oh, that's what would make it so cool. I mean, Game of Thrones would be easy. Once Upon a Time and Game of Thrones crossed over. I think that would be too easy of a fit. A Once Upon a Time zombie episode? That would be. I totally agree. Why not? Oh. The Avengers, did you say? Yeah.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Well, they did. I don't know if I can't see if you said. Oh, there we go. Now I can see. Oh, hello. Star Wars would be great. I remember actually in. I think it was the first. Yeah, I think it was the first time. So the very first time I came on to Once Upon a Time, I was Marian, and it was me and Robin Hood in the woods, and I was pregnant, and I got sick, and then that was it. And I thought I was never going to be on the show again. And then when they did bring me back. The episode where I'm in the cave with Jennifer Morrison, they make a reference to Star Wars. What did she say? She's Leia,
Princess
right?
Leia.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I liked that. So that's season 2. Yeah, Avengers will be tough. Oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask you how is Oliver Tween to work with?
Stephen Amell? So cool. So nice. So muscular. Yeah. It was really a really hard job because I was just between these two tall, handsome guys and then my little cute son. He's very cool. He's so hardworking. I mean, even just the way that he has transformed, and not for reasons to be like a fitness model or anything like that, but to really be able to do what his character requires him to be able to do. So the things that he does in Arrow, he can actually do. Like, what do they call that? The ladder? The salmon ladder? Like, he can do that. And I don't know, I could do it, I guess, but that's a lot of work, right? Like, you have to train really hard and be really dedicated to the character and the craft and the fans, and he takes it all very seriously. Then he's kind of a kid off set and just wants to play and have fun and joke. And he loves, you know, I'm not sure if you've seen any of this stuff, but he has a wine now. He's like a wine connoisseur. And he throws these cool wine parties. And he's also a huge baseball fan. Like, he's just like a cool dude. Yeah, I think you'd love to hang with him and stand the ladder with him. Are you gonna go back on that? Oh, I'd love to. I never know. I feel like I'm always the last to know what I'm doing. Like, at least, yeah, I know, I'm still alive. Yeah, exactly. Okay, sorry, if I'm not the last to know, then I'm dead. Yeah, exactly. And they can always be brought back. There have been multiple shows I've been brought back. I'll be the one to say them. Because the zombie episode. Yes, here we go. Everyone's zombies. Some people are alive. Christie gets to work forever. Yeah, no, I would love to go back on Arrow. They have, I mean, the writers are amazing, the cast's super cool. Like you said, the crossovers I find really interesting too, how they're meshing all the different worlds, and it's really smart and interesting. I would absolutely love to, but you'll probably know before I will. Yeah, you can let me know, okay?
I have like a two-part question. The first one is like, do you ship Outlaw Queen?
And you want me to answer it now? It's kind of hard not to. I mean, it's one of those things where you want the best of both worlds, but they're so steamy together. And they're so cute. Yeah, I do.
So how did you feel that knowing that Marian was gonna like break it up when she came back?
That's a really good question. I took it very seriously. Like I said, with Once Upon a Time, I knew like the fans were everything on that show, and they, you know, they live and breathe their characters and their ships, and it's so important to, I don't know, to take that seriously. And I was concerned, to be honest. I kind of thought, okay, here I am, gonna go on this show and everyone's gonna hate me. And that happened. At least I was prepared. And at least it was for a good reason. I mean, I think that just goes to show that not only is the writing on the show so good, but then also the actors are so good. Because if the actors weren't so phenomenal and you didn't believe Regina and Robin Hood together and you weren't like, that is the only way it should be forever and ever and no one else can come in, then if I came in you wouldn't have cared. So I was happy. I'm like, okay, everyone's doing their job. Like, you're not supposed to be happy about me coming in and breaking it up. I mean, he was my first. Like, it's not like I was coming out of nowhere and being like, I'm taking him. It was like, we were married in the woods, like. I did get there first, but time had passed and, you know, he found someone else. And then I was dead. So, yeah, I had a lot of baggage.
Are you coming to karaoke?
Yes.
Yes!
I'm terrified. Now, is everyone else going to sing too? Are you guys
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Because I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there are so many great singers on the cast of Once Upon a Time. I mean, everyone saw the musical episode, and I was so excited because I knew how much the fans wanted a musical episode as well, right? But I was so excited to hear a musical episode, but I was so thankful I wasn't going to be on it. I know I don't have a great voice, but I've been told so many times, and karaoke is one of the times where I mean, let's just have fun. Like, who are we kidding? I'm not singing Marian or Rebecca Mayer. But yeah, I'll belt it out with you. We'll make it funny. I'll try to, you know, do the same cues as everyone else. Yeah, I was nervous about it. To be honest, this was really nice. So, like I said, this was my first Once Upon a Time Creations convention, and I just flew in and I'm sitting in the back talking with everyone, going, oh, what's it going to be like out there? What do I do? And who do I talk to? And so, everything in there. So thank you. I really do appreciate your questions and you being here. And if there is anything else that you do want to know about Once Upon a Time, or I don't know much about zombies, but rolling on the floor. Yeah, no, it was nice. You guys made me feel very welcome, so thank you.
Thank you for coming.
So with that, actually, because we did it a couple times, it was interesting. They actually had, so I would perform my part up until a certain point, and then, so for example, there was one scene with the, I'm not sure if you remember well, you must remember, you know, more than I do, the green necklace that Selena had. So there was a part where, I'm shutting, we had to wrap up the scene, and then I had to hold the necklace and kind of rub it. And that's when Marian turned into Selena. And so I went like this, and then I would have to freeze as still as I could, and then Rebecca would come in, and they would match on a TV screen the exact same position, and we'd have to stand there and hold it. And I think, I mean, Rebecca's really, really good at imitating people. You should ask her to do an impression or two when she's here. She's going to give this one. But, yeah, so she was really good at being able to walk in and do exactly what I did before. And then we would just hold it, and then the CGI team would kind of morph it together. But it looked really good. I was super impressed. And when I saw it come together, and I was strangely surprised, I was like, we look alike. Like the face shape and everything, we don't, but in the CGI world. We're not green. Yeah, I never got to be green. I would have liked that. I mean, blue, but not green.
So this is kind of a two-part question. One, how far in advance, if at all, did you know that Zelina and Robin's baby would be named Robin? And then two, do you secretly wish it was named Marian instead of Robin?
The baby's name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Secretly, I think, yeah, I think there should be an homage to, but it's confusing because then that's like, it gets complicated, right? And you said, when did I find out? I just found out with, hold on, when she was going to be named, yeah, because I don't think I was hurt Once Upon a Time when they found that out. So I found out the same as everyone else when I was creeping everyone's tweets and watching the episode and going, oh, that's what happened. But yeah, I thought it was nice because that was his father, and you know he had passed as well at the time. So I think it makes sense. It would have been weird, right, if she was carrying around a baby Marian? I mean, anything's possible. I think that name should come back, though. I don't know anyone. Does anyone know anyone named Marian? Like in real life? No,
yes.
Maybe? Yeah. Oh, you know someone? An airport? That still counts. Yeah. There you go. Oh.
So my college drama professor was named Marian, but it actually was a guy.
Oh,
a guy named Marian.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm behind on this as well. All right. But that's great. Cool. You're welcome.
I was also supposed to know.
Hi, Ethan. I wanted to ask what your experience was working with Sean.
Oh. Sean, I've had a really tough go with this, huh? Like, I got Stephen Amell and Jiggle and Sean Sean's great. So one of my favorite stories about Sean was there was a scene where it was during Frozen, and the big blue monster was coming at us from in the woods, and we all had to protect ourselves. And a lot of the stuff in Once Upon a Time is CGI. And so we were following a tennis ball that was on the end of a big, big silver rod, and then we'd have to act and pretend like it was coming at us. And they said, okay, in a few takes, we're gonna have you react and kind of drop to the floor, but don't hurt yourself. You know, this was a real forest with real branches and rocks, and you gotta be careful. And so they said action, and we're watching and we're following the big monster, AKA the tennis ball on his head. It's coming at us, it's coming at us, and then they say, okay, fall. So we all fall, and then we hear, and Sean had, I mean, not only the fact that he could do this is impressive, but he had done a full backflip. Like he had, and they let us watch the footage after, he had just taken his feet right out from under him and kicked them right over his head and done a full backflip, landing on his face. And I was like, I'm not running from the same monster here. I'm gonna get eaten because I'm just lying here on the floor in front of the monster while you're flying acrobatically off into the distance. So that was kind of Sean in a nutshell. He was full of surprises, super funny, whip smart. He's a really good singer too. Yeah. He was a joy to work with me. He always kind of made everything really playful and fun, and didn't take anything too seriously, which I loved.
I also have one more question.
Of course.
How did you react when you found out that Sean wasn't on the show, besides flashbacks?
When he was not?
Yeah.
It was, I think it's sad when any character leaves. You know, you kind of, I was no longer on the show, so I didn't get to see him as much, but I felt like, you know, anytime anyone loses a good character like Sean, kind of like, oh, shucks, but yeah, I'm very excited to see what he does next. Yeah, he's got a, thank you. What is, I'm sorry, but this just got awesome.
Remember me?
How much fun did you have with Christie Laing? You guys having a good day so far? Yes! Let me hear the snaps. Oh my God. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to get started. We got a lot more fun coming out.
I'm sorry. You just like whip this up. This is incredible.
Wait, never seen an evil queen before?
Oh my God, this is the best evil queen. I'm sorry, but this is.
True story. I got better.
Yeah, it's been a while, Regina, but
it's been a while, yeah. Season 7 has not been kind. Guys, one more time for Samurai Fish! We're gonna have a lot of fun. Make sure you guys come out to karaoke tonight. One more time for Christie Laing as well! Love you, Oncers.